You want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
You can't handle the truth!
Well, we're giving you the Michigan Sports Truth, the show that reveals facts, truth, research, and statistics and never messes around. With your hosts, Taylor Phillips, Ed Smith, Frank Vashner, and Buck Gino. We lay down the entire truth about everything regarding your Detroit and Michigan sports teams, no matter how uncomfortable they may be. No junk, no entertainment, no homerism, no coddling, no pop culture, no opinions, no shilling, and no fluff. Follow me, Taylor Phillips, on Twitter at DT2Phillips with 2 L's. Follow Ed Smith on Twitter at EdSmith313. Follow Frank Vashner at Frank_Vashner, VAJCNER. And follow Buck Gino on Twitter at BuckGino3rd. Also like our Facebook page, The Michigan Sports Truth, and join our Facebook group with the same name. The hosts of the Michigan Sports Truth podcast do not take any suggestions or criticism from any member of its audience on how it should be run. It is up to the host to decide what they want to cover. They also do not intend to be any amount of popular in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Additionally, the views of the audience, right or wrong, do not reflect the actual truth revealed on this program.
Episode 288, the Halloween edition, is in session. Taylor Phillips, I'd like to welcome back Ed Smith, my number one co-host here. We are live on Spreaker, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio, by the way. Ed, welcome back.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you so much for the warm welcome, and very happy to be back. I had to take care of some personal things on the side. Nothing too detrimental or anything, but I couldn't be able to focus fully on this as well as the personal matter at home. One had to take precedence over the other, but everything's cleared up and has gotten better, and I'm ready to return to duty here.
All right. Let's get to it. We got college football and the Mitten to recap, and some college football and the Mitten quick picks as CMU and WMU return from their bye week. Also got the Lions and some news about Eric Ebron and former retired wide receiver Calvin Johnson, plus the Red Wings and Pistons, their unbelievable West Coast swing, beating the Clippers and the Warriors. We'll get to that later, plus a couple Tigers notes, one of them being very big. But first of all, let's recap the Spartans and the Wildcats.
Touchdown, MSU!
Michigan State was playing at Northwestern at Ryan Field. First quarter, they were on the right, or at least on the right track, leading 14-0 after, leading 10-0 after one. But their defense started to disappear the rest of the way and let the Wildcats offense hang around and come back. And the Wildcats appeared to upset the 16th ranked Michigan State Spartans, then 39-31 in triple overtime. The defense disappeared in the last 3 quarters and all 3 overtime periods. The Spartans just simply did not play defense. Despite that Felton Davis leaping touchdown catch with 25 seconds left in the fourth quarter. And the Spartans fall to 6-2 overall and 4-1 in the Big Ten, their first Big Ten loss. And it's just it's not what the Spartans want if you're a Spartan fan.
It was basically after the highs that you got from beating Michigan again and maintaining the role that they've had, and knowing that there was a big collision course match between Penn State and Ohio State, MSU picked the very worst of worst timing to lose their first conference game of the year, especially to, of all teams, Northwestern. This isn't exactly a Northwestern, a vintage, Pat Fitzgerald team that could be a potential bowl buster in 30 years. This is a team that'll be lucky to get the 8, if not 9 wins, and getting this victory over MSU helped them quite a bit here. So I don't know if it was they let the high may get to them, but you can't really make that as an excuse because think about the last two games at Minnesota against PJ Flex squad. I'm sure PJ did a good job coaching Love, getting them motivated with that one. MSU somehow managed to scrape away with 3-point 30-27 victory. Then last week against Indiana, which, you know, if you've been paying attention the past 2 years, they like to consider themselves a bit of a chaos team. I mean, they've given myself a lot of brief heart attacks over the past 2 years the way they played Michigan close. And let's not forget the last time they played last year, they upset Spartans. So while I was at home, I figured in the end game was going to be tricky. And yet again, I was correct. It was a one-score game, 17-9. Granted, your defense stepped up, performed much better, but not so much separation from the offense. And then you get to hear with Northwestern game, the defense, for some reason, decides to fall apart. Give it 37 points, including a touchdown in each overtime session. I think very unheard of if you know what
39 points.
Oh, my apologies, 39. You're correct. Thank you. I forgot they gave it a 2-point conversion. The fact still remains that they still gave up a touchdown per overtime session. And, you know, what else can you say? I mean, the defense is known for causing pressure, getting at the quarterback. They only got one sack of the whole game. Unheard of, inexcusable. I don't know if they forced a fumble or not, but they didn't get any interceptions from the quarterback. So between their pressure, you know, the front four not getting enough proper pressure, and which in turn,
You are an absolute disgrace.
None of that whatsoever. No QB pressure, therefore no bad mistakes from the QB, therefore no interceptions. And, you know, while I can give credit to Brian Lewerke for a 445-yard performance, 4 touchdowns, a very, very bad idea or bad decision, the way to throw that ball up the way he did. There wasn't a fourth, I believe it was a fourth down or something like that, but still not a good method. You could have found a different route, a different receiver, different way to at least get the first down instead of just heaving it up all the way to the end zone on a 50-50 ball. That's the ultimate high risk, high reward, and unfortunately it didn't pay off for them.
Yeah, Spartans are going to have to regroup their defense. They've got a lot of work to do, but before they play the 7th-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions, who were upset by the Ohio State Buckeyes last Saturday in Columbus, number 2 at number 6. But transitioning to Michigan Wolverines football, speaking of which,
Touchdown, Michigan!
The Wolverines beat the Rutgers Scarlet Knights like we knew they would somehow, 35-14. John O'Korn was replaced by Brandon Peters at quarterback in the second quarter, and Brandon Peters showed us something. He was 10 of 14 passing, 124 yards passing, and a touchdown pass. And he got the running game going too. Karan Higdon did his thing. Their defense as well gave the offense a chance to win and seal it in the end.
I think after facing the likes of Saquon Barkley the week before, the defense badly needed, I guess you could say, downgrade in terms of quality. They got the right timing in terms of facing Rutgers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. The defense got destroyed the week before. They got exposed at Happy Valley when Penn State was ranked number 2.
I wouldn't say exposed because I think that should be, in my opinion, a testament to how good Penn State really is this year. Let's not forget this is a far different Penn State team than the one that Michigan throttled. Was 49-10 last year. A different team, a healthier team, a much more talented team, better team all around. We're going to be at home, motivated, a lot of things on their mind. You know, it was just a recipe for disaster, and add in the element of your offense just being completely useless and ineffective in terms of the Power 65 Power 5 teams. Michigan's offense ranks up there with one of the worst in category, whether it be, touchdowns, red zone percentage, you name it. So it didn't really surprise me. I just figured it would be a little bit closer score than indicated. But yeah, it was a bad night. Couple that with the fact that, on the flip side of things, defense played extraordinarily well against MSU, but your offense couldn't do jack shit, and that's why you lost 14-10. Even with Indiana, like I said, they've been chaos team as of late. The way they played Michigan, I'm sure, has shortened my lifespan up to 20, 30 years. Watching these games the past few years, the fact still remains. It should not be that close to Indiana every time out. I don't know why. Can't explain it. But they found a way to get the win there, and then rude awakening, so to speak, against Penn State. So they needed to bounce back in the worst way. So with the opponents you got coming up, Rutgers, Minnesota, well, you just had Rutgers, now Minnesota, Maryland. This is a chance for you to lick your wound and try to see how in any way, shape, or form you can prepare to get yourselves ready for an absolute two-headed juggernaut at the back-to-back at the end of the season between a top 5 Wisconsin team on the road at Camp Randall, probably be a night game. Yikes. And then you close it out at home at noon against Ohio State. It seems to be even better than the team that went to the playoff last year. So again, it's almost unfathomable to see this, but in some ways, some of the early preseason critics that thought Michigan probably was a bit overrated, they're being proven right so far, because this is a team that is looking at a 4-loss season right in the face here. So in some instances, you could say that'd be a disappointment, because when you come off to back-to-back 10-win seasons, one of those had a historic defense that got you on the verge of winning the conference title and going to the playoff, to now you're getting your ass kicked again by your in-state rival, and you may be losing 4 losses, and your offense is absolutely anemic. Should not be too much of a surprise considering, again, you hate to harp on this, but there's a proven fact. They lost a lot of talent, offense and defense, to the NFL. Things got compounded even more when you got guys like Tariq Black, who was supposed to be a great big playmaker on the offensive side of the ball for wide receivers. He gets hurt. He's done for the year. You don't see any other wideout prospect start to stand out in the crowd to give you that replacement that you had from losing Darbo and Chester the year before. The running back core, it's been adequate. I think this is the fair way of saying it. I think they're a lot more quicker than what we saw from the likes of Vincent Smith, I believe. I'm sorry, not Vincent Smith, but the name escapes it for the moment. Last year's running back number 4. Between Higdon and now Chris Evans, and even in this game against Rutgers, Clem Walker, our running back core has gotten a little bit better. It's going to take some time to be fully efficient, but I like the way things are going. Offensive line, it's so-so. I think they've done an okay job with the run, creating holes for the running backs, but the pass protection was severely lacking. That's one reason why that Wilson State got hurt to begin with, was just bad pass protection, and that's inexcusable. So when you think about it, this was probably the season that was supposed to happen for Michigan, but you figured that could have happened in the first season or the second season, not in the third season where your team had back-to-back 10-win seasons, and the hype is higher than ever for Harbaugh. And on the subject of Harbaugh, I got to say real quick, there are some cause for concern as for Harbaugh when it comes to the fact that in seemingly always biggest games, he always comes up short or finds some way to lose or gets dismantled. It's never, almost never, unless you're somehow playing Florida on a neutral site game, it has not bode well. For instance, the most alarming and glaring one, that as of now, you're 1-4 combined against Michigan State and Ohio State, the two teams that you have to beat, especially now since Notre Dame's off the schedule. So if you're a Michigan coach, that's 2 big games you need to focus on winning as much as possible year in and year out. And so far, leads into this team still does not won a conference title. And then after the losses to Michigan State and Penn State this year, it's looking likely that they will, again, not compete for a Big Ten title. The team is that drought that has been seen since, they haven't won one since 2004. Maybe 2003, I think, 04, OSU won, and then Michigan backdoored into the Rose Bowl. But anyway, that long without a conference title. And then, what else can be said here? I mean, it's nice to appreciate and see and like what Jim Harbaugh has done in terms of broadening the brand, getting more eyeballs and attention on the team, on the school, on the brand. Sleepovers at prospects' homes, giving football helmets to the Pope, khakis, milk, steak, all that. It's good and cute and all, and it's entertaining, admittedly. But there comes a point where you got to just back up what you're saying. You got to back it up on the field. And first two seasons, for the most part, it did that. This year, not so much. And there's going to come a point where if you fail to produce or back up your hype on the field, it's going to give fans who may be uneasy and are probably a little bit impatient in terms of not seeing the right amount of results in terms of process, get more antsy and probably start making irrational calls, so to speak. I'm not advocating or suggesting that Jim Harbaugh is going to be in any danger or any hot seat. No, he's got quite a comfy lot here, especially with the amount of money they're paying him. But
that's a long-term contract.
Exactly. So they're not going to, dump him after 3 years, like Rich, or after 4 or 5 years, just because he can't beat certain teams. Like, unless he has a Rich Rod year or a Brady Hoke year where everything just goes bad and cataclysmic, and they lose like 7, 8, 9 games, and
which is not possible at this time.
Exactly. Unless he has that type of year, then no, they're not going to get rid of him or anything sort of that. But fans should expect and want to see better. From this coach has been basically anointed the savior of Michigan football. You want to see better results in big games, and so far, Harbaugh hasn't delivered on that. So it's frustrating.
Not to mention, he deflects questions from the media, and he kind of like deflects everything: questions, criticism from the media, and Jim Harbaugh just, I don't know, keeps it positive and hides the truth about Wilton Spate, not whether he's out for the season or not. Let's delve into Wilton Spate's father, speaking of which, slamming Purdue's medical facilities for not allowing Wilton Spate to get his back treated. This is from Tim Daniels on Bleacher Report. You can follow Tim Daniels on Twitter at TimDanielsBR. Wilton Spate's father slams Purdue medical facilities after a quarterback's back injury. Bobby Spate, the father of University of Michigan quarterback Wilton Spate, criticized how Purdue University handled his son's care after he suffered a back injury in September during the Wolverines' road game against the Purdue Boilermakers at Ross-Ade Stadium in West Lafayette, Indiana. Angelique S. Chingalis of the Detroit News passed along comments Thursday from the elder Spate, who stated there was no urgency and lamented the poor conditions. Quote, Wilton gets hit and didn't move for a little while, which is a parent's worst nightmare. The police took us down, but were unable to open the door. Someone who appeared to be a member of the food staff realized what was going on and let us in. When that door opened, even in high school, I had never been in a visiting locker room that bad. It was dark, dingy, and dirty. And that's why Jim Harbaugh went after the Purdue medical facility right after the game. Spate and his wife, Martha, said they don't typically grant interviews about their son's athletic careers, but they told the Detroit News they wanted to speak out about this issue for the sake of other parents. He said, quote, what an absolute train wreck, unquote. Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh also spoke about the problem during his Monday press conference following the team's 2010 victory over Purdue back on September 23rd, which is a little bit over a month ago at this point. As of this point, quote, there has to be a minimum standard of care for the players. We put a lot of emphasis into the health and safety of the players, but it doesn't even seem sanitary. I wish I had taken a picture of the actual table that is given to the visitors to put players on that are injured. It looked like it was from the 20s, mainly from the health and safety of the players, a very small space for a training room that had nothing on it. This is no different than a facility I saw when I was there in 1986, and I'm not putting this on Purdue. This is league-wide. This needs to be addressed by the league. This needs to be addressed by the commissioner, unquote. Shengelis noted Tom Scott, S-C-H-O-T-T, Purdue's Senior Associate Athletics Director for Communications, answered Harbaugh's remarks by saying the school's medical facilities were similar to its Big Ten counterparts. Scott said, quote, we stick with our original statement and are looking forward to being engaged in continued conversations as they relate to setting standards for visiting teams, unquote. Tom Van Haren of ESPN.com reported Spate suffered 3 broken vertebrae and will, quote, likely be out for the rest of the season, unquote, though he'll be evaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. So, there's no doubt Wilton Spate is going to be out for the rest of the season. They don't make it official. They don't make it official yet. The announcement that Wilton Spate's going to be out for the rest of the season, but we sure damn know that 3 broken vertebrae, really puts you out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, the where they're located in the body, when it connects to the neck and the spine, that's a very serious injury to sustain, and that takes a lot of recovery. So, a long period of recovery, I should say. So, I would be very surprised if Spade is cleared for anything for this year.
So, what say you about the Purdue's medical facilities mishandling of Wilton Spate's back?
Well, I'm not sure it was going to be if it was a direct cause of his condition worsening to the fact where he got that diagnosis. I think you could put more blame on the type of hit that he suffered on the field. I'm sure having the conditions of that place where it was did not help matters for certain. Was giving themselves a better perspective of getting the right proper treatment right then and there. May not have, like I said, lessened diagnosis, but would have probably been a much shorter recovery time if he had been in a better, more suitable background and condition.
Mm-hmm. So, that's Michigan Wolverines football. Western and Central had their bye week. Eastern Michigan Eagles lose in overtime 30-27 at the Northern Illinois Huskies. Place kicker Paul Fricano 2 for 5 in field goal attempts.
You are pathetic!
I think that was the detrimental cause right there. Brogan Roback worked his tail off, but Northern Illinois showed that they are the better team. Eastern still winless in the MAC. Northern still undefeated in the MAC. The mediocre American Conference, which I like to call it, Frank Vasner style. And Eastern will play Ball State at home Thursday at 7 on CBS Sports Network. So it's time for the college football and the Mitten quick picks. We'll start with the top 25 game, number 7 Penn State at number 24 Michigan State, Saturday at noon on Fox. And it sounds like we're going in chronological order too. which is even more fitting too. So Penn State at Michigan State. The Nittany Lions offense is too powerful. The Spartans defense, the way they've struggled especially, they're going to get shellacked. I'm going to say Penn State 49, Michigan State 24.
I'm in agreement with you in terms of how this game could turn out, but probably the only difference we're going to have is in terms of the score. Penn State's going to be out for blood. They're going to be motivated and angry after what happened to them against Ohio State. So I'm expecting them to take it out on Michigan State. And trust me, don't worry, this is not the bitter Wolverine in me trying to speak down. I'm just calling it like it is here. So I think between that and Michigan State's offense still not being to the way that Mark Antonio would like it to be, they're going to have their struggles. And Saquon Barkley is going to have his way with this team, just like with just about every other team that he's faced this year. So I think Penn State 38, Michigan State 21.
Then you got the Minnesota Golden Gophers at the Michigan Wolverines Saturday at 7:30 on Fox. The way Brandon Peters has been playing, and he'll likely start against those Gophers, according to Jim Harbaugh, he's going to keep that offense going if Peters does start. And I have a feeling Brandon Peters will start. He should start.
Yeah, it's almost like how low can you go? What's the worst that could happen? Your first starting QB, he's hurt, done for the year. Your second QB pretty much stinks. So once you got some type of magic juju on your side, I don't see going in any option here. So I don't mind the option with Peter starting. He looked adequate enough where he's earned a shot. Let's see what he does.
All right, so looking at Minnesota here, let me look at ESPN.com. Minnesota at Michigan, Saturday at 7:30 on Fox. The Gophers are 4-4, 1-4 in the Big Ten. The Wolverines should have almost no problem beating them, as far as I'm concerned. Except for the matchup, it's not going to be a rout, but Michigan will still pull it off. I think by at least 13 points. I'm going to say Michigan 34, Minnesota 21.
See, what concerns me here is this is a home night game for Minnesota, and we saw how they performed last time they had that against Michigan State. Almost pulled an upset here.
Minnesota's on the road. It's in Ann Arbor.
I thought it was in Minnesota.
No. I said Minnesota Golden Gophers at the Michigan Wolverines.
Oh, you know what? It is a home game. My mistake. Well, that just changed things up a little bit. Yeah, definitely. I thought it was going to be a close game because it was in Minnesota, but nope. It's a 7:30 start at the Big House. 2 night games in 1 year. Interesting. What's not interesting is the fact that Minnesota. This is not going to be good for them. They're facing a much better defense, and it's going to be in Michigan's house. So this could be again another good chance for them to continue to bounce back before they lead into their biggest 2-game stretch of the year against Wisconsin and Ohio State back to back. Defense will show out. Peters will get more confidence performing at home. Yes, it's a night game, but he should, as long as he doesn't be too hasty with his decision making, he'll be okay. So there's that. I think the running game will help him out tremendously, take the pressure off of him, and you'll see Michigan win by a comfortable margin. I'll say, let's go 31-13.
All right. Still not quite a rout, but a little more comfortable. Then you got the most heated rivalry in the mediocre American Conference. The Central Michigan Chippewas
Touchdown, Central Michigan!
At the Western Michigan Broncos Wednesday at 8 o'clock on ESPN2. Central Michigan has obviously done better on the road, a lot better on the road than at home. They're coming off a 56-9 win at the Ball State Cardinals before their bye week. But Western, they're pretty darn good at home. They're 5-3. They're 5-1 the rest of the way after suffering 2 hard-fought losses at USC and at Michigan State. The Broncos appear to be no joke. As far as CMU playing on the road at Waldo Stadium, it's going to be tough for them. I'm going to give Western a close edge on this one, 31-24.
I think Western has potential to do better than that, so I'll go 28-14, 28-10.
All right. Then you got the Ball State Cardinals at the Eastern Michigan Eagles Thursday at 7 on CBS Sports Network. Looking at the ESPN.com matchup predictor, 90.9% say EMU will win. Finally, their first MAC win. Both teams are 0-4 in the MAC and 2-6 overall. EMU's playing at home. Ball State Cardinals are a really horrible team. Eastern Michigan suffered a few close losses. They appear to be better than what their records say. I want to say Eastern Michigan 38, Ball State 10.
You wonder that, but the way Eastern's played so far, in terms of letting the close ones get to them, you wonder if that's starting to affect them from a mental capacity, from a mental standpoint. So I agree that I think Eastern will win, but I think Ball State, as bad as they are going to keep it a little bit closer. So I'd say Eastern 24, 21, or 24-27.
27-24? Okay.
Yeah.
So, that's our college football and the Mitten Quick Picks. Now it's time for us to transition from college football to pro football and the Detroit Lions.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
They lost 20-15 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers not only are a good team, the Lions settled for just 5 field goals. They couldn't even reach the end zone, not even have a touchdown called back, at least, but still, they could not reach the end zone. They failed on 4th and goal not once but twice. Late in the third quarter and then late in the fourth quarter, when they needed the game-winning touchdown the most to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Lions seem to have just can't seem to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they can't. Matthew Stafford pass over 400 yards passing and no touchdowns. That's on the rest of the team. That's on the rest of the offense.
Yeah, but it's also got to do with some of the play calling too.
Yeah, play calling.
You can't get that close. You can't get that close to where you were in red zone opportunities and goal line opportunities and not come away with a single damn touchdown. Some of that is on the player's execution, but you got to put that on the play calling too.
Yeah, and then you got Eric Ebron, Eric E-Drop, I may say, still performing very poorly. And then he goes on.
Putting it nicely.
Yeah, and then he goes on Twitter, says, "Boo me all you want. I still love the fans." Enough of the "boo me all you want" crap.
Yeah, clearly it's not giving you the right motivation. Maybe it's just you suck ass at your job, if you're about that.
Yeah. And there were teams interested in training for tight end Eric Ebron, speaking of which.
That's hilarious. That's just hilarious to me.
Yeah, and shocking to me, too.
This year? Good God.
And want to know what's even more shocking? They're also interested in training for retired Lions wide receiver Calvin Megatron Johnson.
Oh, man.
I could see why, because they think, hey, he's been a couple of years off. He's still relatively young, so to speak. He's giving his body some chance to heal and all that stuff. But the thing is, I doubt that Calvin has kept himself in terms of football shape, like, the usual traditional workouts, training regimen, strength and conditioning, all that, to ensure his body and his conditioning will be at its peak. As he, Amanda said, when he said he's retired, he said he's done. So I doubt he would have that same type of dedication for off-season workouts as he would have if he was still playing. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see a scenario where what we saw with Verlander this year, a contending team, Bills, they need that one big piece to put them over the top. They send a good package, a sweet enough deal. The Lions, where they can, in exchange, give Calvin the rights to Calvin's contract, and he'll have a chance to at least play for, if not go out with a Super Bowl. Win one series, and even more, coincidental enough, he's going to get the chance to do it tonight when he gets the ball to pitch for Game 6. So for Houston Astros. So as much as I would love to see that type of scenario happen, I doubt it, especially when Calvin himself seems to be committed to his retirement.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So the Lions go to Lambeau Field and play the Green Bay Packers. Lions now dropped to 3-4 after losing to Pittsburgh. They're 2-1 on the road, but
they've lost 3 in a row. They've lost 3 in a row. There's the 2-1 road that's hiding something. Okay,
yep.
I mean, one of those wins was against the Giants. Have you seen how atrocious the New York Giants look this year?
Yeah,
so that was an absolute fallacy if I ever saw one. So I don't even care that Aaron Rodgers is likely done for the year. Minnesota has, for one, a much better defense. Okay, they have seemingly better coaching and more competent coaching, and you are the Lions.
Yep.
But I think Green Bay, like I said, with no Rodgers, it's going to be tough to win some of these games for the rest of their schedule. So they may very well end up in third place, assuming the Lions don't fuck their way down below them, and even arguably with Chicago at the cellar of the basement. I'm really, and again, I can't be too surprised because a lot of people, I guess, wanted to buy into this team because they saw the 3-1 record, the Monday Night Football win, and then and the close loss against the Falcons. But you gotta remember, Jim Caldwell is the head coach. There's a reason why you and me have been critics of Jim Caldwell's coaching since we've done this show. It seems the man has never heard of what a second half adjustment is. Can't seemingly to instill some type of fear or whatever to his offensive coordinator. Hey, call better plays, or I'll take I'll give him the play calling duties to someone else, or even that type of measured threat. And it shows. It just shows on the field. It's interesting to note that ever since ESPN reported that the Caldwell extension, by the way, congratulations, we're going to have this dickhead as our coach for the next few years. Ever since the news of the extension broke, they've been 0-3 ever since. Like, really. That's what you call counting your chickens before they hatch. And then once they do hatch, one decides to bite you in the ass.
Mm-hmm. And Jim Caldwell, Jim Comatose Caldwell, and Jim Bob Cooter, you mentioned play calling was the reason why the Lions lost the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, they came up with the wrong plays. The Steelers read them well. Steelers defense read them well easily. It was a total mismatch.
And Caldwell had the nerve and the temerity to get short and mad at Dave Burkett at the post-game press conference. Give me a break. Okay, he tried that same crap, was it a year or so ago after, I think, Packers lost or something else. But, it's quite noticing, like, whenever he gets even slightly pressed on the issue, he becomes more agitated, than was usually reserved from him. So it's
more agitated than Jim Harbaugh when he deflects anything. Jim Caldwell.
Harbaugh we're used to that now, but this,
Yeah, Jim Caldwell just acts like a petulant child while deflecting, unlike Jim Harbaugh, which is worse.
So basically, he's acting like the president. Cool.
Yeah, Donald Trump, right? Oh my God, that's
You are pathetic!
Pathetic. So Lions at Packers Monday at 8:30 on ESPN Monday Night Football. I'm going to predict a close one at Lambeau Field. I still say Packers 24-21.
See, this is the type of game where the Lions would infuriate us and come back and somehow still win. To give some people to think, wow, you may still have a chance. For me, I'm hoping they lose this one because, it's at Lambeau. I don't care if they got to win a year or so, a couple seasons back. They historically, they've been known to shit the bed whenever they play in Wisconsin. So I don't care if Aaron Rodgers is hurt or not. I don't care if they have the fifth quarterback that they picked up from off the street starting under center. The Lions are going to find some way to fuck up and lose in the end. I'm just used to this. I'm numb to this right now, so that's why I wasn't so irritated or agitated by what I saw Sunday night. So I expect the Packers to have some type of voodoo on their side, Caldwell to make some type of mistake, and the Lions will find some way to lose. I mean, for goodness sake, you saw Golden Tate catch an absolute perfect pass from Stafford, and in the same damn motion, fumble the ball to a welcoming Steelers defender. So I don't be too surprised when something like that happens and it plays a key role in the Lions losing another game for the Packers, which I predict they will by scoring 28-21.
Yeah, Golden Tate has regressed lately and acted like a clown on Twitter. The way I've been seeing him the last 2 or 3 weeks. You predicted 28-21. That's still close. Green Bay Packers win.
Only because Rogers isn't playing. If Rogers is playing, I would say they hang 42 on these asses.
Yeah, So, that's football. Now we transition to hockey. Well, the Red Wings keep on losing. They lost 1-0 at the Buffalo Sabres, 3-2 at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yay is right. They need to get Ken Holland the fuck out of their front office. They beat the Florida Panthers 3-2 in a shootout. The Panthers must have let the Red Wings hang around. Gustav Nyquist, the game-time goal, and then the game-winning shootout goal. Wow. The Red Wings apparently are still hanging around in like week 3 of the NHL regular season. But they return home. They play a very easy Arizona Coyotes team who finally won a game, their last game.
The first 12 games into the season. Good Lord.
Yeah, 4-3 in overtime. Yeah, they start off 0-10-1. Oh, my God. The Red Wings still would have no problem. Well, almost no problem being them, except the Red Wings are pretty bad, too. We'll have to see which way this one goes. Maybe the Coyotes have beaten them before in today's world, too, which was back at the old historic Joe Louis Arena. But Little Caesars Arena, either could happen between those two bad teams. Then the Red Wings are at the Ottawa Senators again, Thursday at 7:30. The last time they met in Ottawa at Canadian Tire Center, the Red Wings beat the Senators in a shootout 2-1. Then Thursday, they begin their Western Canadian road swing at the end. That Thursday, it's at Ottawa. Sunday, they begin their Western Canadian road swing at the Edmonton Oilers Sunday at 4. Then Monday at 10, they're in the Vancouver Canucks, and then Thursday next week, Thursday the 9th at 9 o'clock, they're at the Scotiabank Saddledome facing off the Calgary Flames. Edmonton Oilers at Rogers Place, which used to be Rexall Place. The Canucks at Rogers Arena. Both arenas are sponsored by Rogers up in Canada, which I don't understand. I still don't understand. It's been happening for 2 years now. Thankfully, Calgary's facility is sponsored by Scotiabank. But as far as the standings go, the Oilers, Canucks, and Flames. The Oilers are back to the bottom again, 3-6-1 ahead of the Arizona Coyotes. The Vancouver Canucks, third place in the Pacific Division, 6-3-2 with 14 points. The Calgary Flames, in the thick of the wild card race, 6-6-0 with 12 points. It's a 5-way tie in points for the second wild card spot in the Western Conference. The San Jose Sharks 6-5-0, the Colorado Avalanche 6-5-0. That's a legitimate tie in that department, in that main department. The Nashville Predators 5-4-2, the Chicago Blackhawks 5-5-2, and the Calgary Flames 6-6-0. So the Red Wings are not, even though they're playing the Edmonton Oilers, which could be a little easier team than the Canucks and Oilers, they're still going to have a rough Western Canadian road trip like they usually do.
I wouldn't say easy because they got to deal with Connor McDavid on Edmonton, so that alone is not going to make this an easy rodeo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not going to be an easy road trip anyway. It tips it off with Connor McDavid. Oilers have only 7 points through 10 games. Not good for them. They're playing at home, though. We'll have to see what happens on Sunday afternoon. Then you got the Pistons.
Left sideline, 3, and he answers.
In basketball, they lost 97-86 to the Philadelphia 76ers. What the fuck? Then they shellacked the Minnesota Timberwolves 122-101. Then they went on into California. They upset the Los Angeles Clippers 95-87. And then they, out of all teams, they beat the Golden State Warriors at Oracle Arena 115-107.
Oh, man.
They upset the defending champions on the road.
That was what caught me off more than anything. It was, if you would have told me, hey, the Pistons beat the Warriors, I would have figured, okay, it had to have been in Detroit, and, you know, at least 2, if not 3 of the 4 starters would not have been playing. No, this was them at full strength on their floor, and they still, you know, they give over 100 points to a team that loves thriving, scoring in over 100 points, and they still came away with a victory. That's astonishing.
Yeah. The first time they beat the Warriors at Oracle Arena at Golden State since November 13th of 2008. First time they beat the Clippers in LA since 2010. First win in LA for owner Tom Gores. First win in GS for Tom Gores too. Don't forget. So that's a momentum builder for the Pistons. Some Piston fans would say, but that's
possibly because, you know, this is what you call a very early sample sizing, but they are first in the division, and correct me if I'm wrong, they have the number 1 record in the East. Of course, it's still early, and that's due to a couple of things. A, Boston losing Gordon Hayward for the year and that horrific injury. Hope he gets well. Thoughts some on that one. 2, the Cleveland Cavaliers have not settled in, gelled in yet, but once they do, you'll expect things to ramp it up for them, and they'll be back to their usual selves. And, with those two big factors in mind, it made an already weak Eastern Conference that much more up for grabs. So when you see, granted it's 7 games in, but the Pistons doing this well, props to them, yes, but also got to consider the other factors of the other two big teams having their struggles at the moment.
Yeah. Speaking of struggling teams, they've got the Los Angeles Lakers coming up at 10:30 this Tuesday night, which is tonight.
Hello,
Lonzo. That ends their 3-game West Coast road trip. Let me take a look at the Los Angeles Lakers while I announce the rest of the upcoming schedule. They're back home Friday against the Milwaukee Bucks at Little Caesars Arena. Then they welcome the Sacramento Kings Saturday at 7. A 4-game homestand. The second half of that against the Indiana Pacers next Wednesday, the 8th, at 7. And then Friday, the 10th, at 7 against the Atlanta Hawks.
That Milwaukee game is going to be tricky because of one player and one player on it. Of course, that's the Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, for the Bucks. So that's one that could literally be the difference maker in that game. Granted, Milwaukee doesn't have anybody that much of a big support group that could be at the highest capacity to go along with Giannis, but they're still a solid team, mostly because of his effort. So that's going to be one to look out for.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the Lakers, they're tied for 12th place with the Phoenix Suns at 2-4.
God.
Oh yeah, that's inevitably pretty bad. Yeah.
When you're tied with the Suns, you must be doing something wrong.
Oh yeah, 2-4. Hey, at least you're not in 15th place in the West like the Dallas Mavericks are, 1-7 of all teams. Sacramento.
Only good thing. Wow.
Sacramento, one of their upcoming opponents, 1-5. It's at Little Caesars Arena. But the Pistons, they lost to the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers actually are 3-4, 12th place in the East, but the Pistons should have no freaking problem beating the Sacramento Kings or the Los Angeles Lakers anywhere they go.
You say that, but, I wouldn't really, Lonzo has this weird habit of he'll have a bad game or 2 bad games in a row, then he'll come out and, drop 27, 12, and 11 out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be true.
So you gotta give credit, between Tobias Harris, he's scoring, he's averaging already 20 points per game. I figured he was going to be our most efficient offensive performer. He's shown that thus far. And even with Andre Drummond, give credit to the big fella. I still think he's a petulant child. You want to talk about petulance? Good Lord.
Yeah, he gets into heated arguments. One of them in L.A.
But that being said, he's at least shown some improvement with his free throw shooting.
Yeah.
Again, still very early, but looking at some of these stats, he's averaging almost a 2 out of 3 per night. That's 70% from the line. You're not expecting him to be this way all year, but at least it's a substantial improvement from the horrific efficiency that he's shown over the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, we'll have to see how his free throw shooting goes down the road, but he's got to grow the fuck up. He's got to stop getting into heated arguments with opposing players.
Yeah, just good luck with that, because if Joel Embiid, who's seemingly been a troll master this year, he's able to get under your skin, imagine what anybody else could do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's Pistons. That's basketball. We're going to transition to baseball and the Tigers here.
That one is long
Let's
gone.
transition to baseball. Props to the Wings for somehow not letting Andre Levinson slip through the fingertips. Granted, maybe only temporarily. He still could fuck off to Russia after this deal
or
expires.
Switzerland.
Yeah, either one of those two. But hey, at least they got the deal done for this year.
Yep, $1.3875 million for 1 year. So the Tigers part ways with bench coach Gene Lamont.
Oh, man.
And that's kind of an understatement. I thought the Tigers for sure were gonna keep Gene Lamont and still defy sabermetrics, but then they parted ways with him. They let him go. They fired him. So he's not gonna be with the new coaching staff, including the manager Ron Gardenhire. Yeah. Ron Gardenhire says he's trying to learn sabermetrics. He still embraces the old school role. And while you were gone, and the Tigers did hire Ron Gardenhire, and I'll bet you're not too pleased with that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst thing I've seen. I mean, for goodness sake, we just got through, 3 years of Brad Asmuch, so I doubt it'll be worse than that, but still, it's not the opposite. It's not what you consider the direction you want to go after that disastrous tenure. For someone like Avila to claim that he's, wants to be pro-sabermetric or move towards that crowd, you thought he was going to do that with Osmus. Osmus turns out to be absolutely ineffective dumbass. And then you stray away with that thinking with your very next pick, and it's of all people, basically a clone of Jim Leland as close as possible if there ever was one. Less cigarettes and more body weight, basically.
Yeah, an obese Jim Leland.
And less smelly underwear, hopefully.
An obese Jim Leland, as Jeff Moss, the creator and founder and editor-in-chief of the Detroit Sports Rag, would put it. That was over a year ago on his old DSL podcast.
He's a freaking manager.
Yeah.
And I can't get even too excited because you don't even know how long he's going to be. Is this really considered the transitional? Is he going to be here long term like Leland was? Or
It's
is it
3 years.
Transitional?
It's a 3-year contract.
Yeah, so if they're still not quite at that level at the end of 3 years, do they give him another chance, or do you just find someone else?
One of my other co-hosts, Buck Gino, pointed out that the Tigers are not going to be a contender probably until 2021. So the 3 years that Ron Gardenhire is going to be a manager, it's just going to be rebuilding 3 rebuilding years.
Yeah, but you have to wonder, will he be given another chance though at that end of the 3rd year if the rebuild is substantial enough and satisfying enough to the higher ups? If it isn't, they might have to go in a different direction. So that's the risk you open up here.
Good point. And then Tigers general manager Al Avila says the Tigers are going to be shopping for bargains in free agency from Jonathan Sovetta of The Score. Al Avila told Evan Woodbury of MLive.com, quote, free agency is going to be a little different this year than we've been accustomed to in the past. We're going to be looking for major league free agents that are maybe bargains. I guess you could call them that. You may not see a free agent signing until maybe January. So the Tigers are going to go short money on free agents from here forward.
Translation: get ready to see a lot of Don Kellys.
Yeah, in fact, they hired Don Kelly as a scout weeks ago.
See, it's already paying off.
Sarcasm right there. So, I did want to read an article from Bless You Boys. The Tigers should release Victor Martinez. The veteran short pitch, the veteran hitter does not fit into the team's plans. Victor Martinez has been a fixture in the Detroit Tigers lineup for the past 6 seasons. Been one of the most productive hitters. Presently, the numbers tell a different story. He's now 38 years old. following a career season in 2014, finishing second to Mike Trout. But since signing his contract extension, Martinez has posted 2.3 wins below replacement level. In fact, in other words, a negative 2.3 WAR, according to FanGraphs. The only two players, Pablo Sandoval and Mike Aviles, a former Tiger dud, have been worse. He's the only designated hitter to post a WRC, weighted runs created, plus below 100. Amount below 100. He's a designated hitter who has stopped hitting. He's also the league's worst base runner during that time frame, like he has before for a few years now since he got in. He was out for all of 2012 with his knee. He finished the 2017 season on the disabled list due to an irregular heartbeat. He had regressed, and now he's having health issues. He still wants to play baseball. I don't know. He still may not have a choice but to hang it out. The Tigers might just have to release Victor from his contract with a year left in it. They've got to do something.
Yeah, like the issues that have been mentioned before. Victor's knees are shot. He's dealing with regular heartbeat issues. That alone has played contributions to his game eroding so quickly and so vastly. Some of the attitude problems that he's displayed in years past, would be another indicator as well. Dismissive towards fans, getting to Justin Verlander, the dugout, those type of things. And not to mention the skills, like I mentioned before, with his play on the field, just getting lower and lower. How can you be a designated hitter when you can't even hit the damn ball? You got bad base running. You can't do catcher or even first baseman anymore. And now you can't even hit. Like, what purpose or usefulness do you have to the team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Victor Martinez, all right. So, that's all the teams we've covered. Now it's time for one of our segments called 5 Questions. Ed, it's been a 4-week hiatus. You ready for this?
Well, 4 weeks should be good enough of a wait, Taylor, so go ahead and let it rip.
It's time for 5 questions on the Michigan Sports Truth.
Question number 1. Should Brandon Peters be the Michigan Wolverines starting quarterback for the rest of the season?
Well, I say yes because, as I mentioned before, it's what do you have left to lose type of thing. Spate's gone. O'Korn's been terrible. I don't think you have anybody else who's remotely ready to be that next guy up. So I think you got to go with the hand that you're dealt with here.
Yeah, it was an easy no-brainer for Jim Harbaugh.
Next question.
Question number 2. How can the Wolverines fare with Brandon Peters against elite teams like the Ohio State Buckeyes, and the Wisconsin Badgers? They already play Penn State, but the Wisconsin Badgers and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Well, it's called they're just to be facing more superiorly talented teams. Better defenses that's going to give their already anemic offensive problem. And their defense, as stout as they are, it's just the RSU and Wisconsin, especially RSU, they got some athletes on their side of the field. So it all factors into how, I think this could be a potential 4-loss season. So it doesn't matter who your quarterback is. When you're just going up against flat-out better teams and multiple facets, it doesn't matter.
Next question.
Question number 3. What could have happened for Wilton Speight had it not been for the Purdue medical facility incident? Probably not much because Wilton Speight suffered a devastating hit, breaking 3 broken vertebrae, and he was going to be likely out for the season to begin with anyway.
Yeah, it was a nasty-looking hit, too, that he took. So, like I said, probably get a shorter recovery time in terms of, when he'll be available to be cleared for football-related activities. But I think the prognosis will still be the same. They would have been out of the year regardless.
Yep. But then again, Purdue still would have at least looked at it, or their medical, or they still could have cleaned their medical facility, which is not even sanitary. It would have made it. Otherwise, it would have made it worse.
Next question.
Question number 4. Can the Pistons use those wins over the Clippers and the Warriors the past weekend to motivate themselves throughout the rest of the entire 2017-2018 NBA regular season?
Hey, like I said, this is already a weak Eastern Conference, so you already got a chance to possibly move up still from 8th or 7th to maybe 6th or 5th seed. And the fact that you've handed the last remaining undefeated team their first loss and beat the defending champs back-to-back games, now, yes, should give you confidence. You shouldn't be too focused or concerned about what Cleveland and Boston are not doing. Focus on what's in front of you with your own team. Focus what's on in-house with you, and you'll be able to handle yourself. I see no problem, especially like you mentioned, Andre Drummond shooting better with his free throws. Tobias Harris still effective with his offense. And, you've seen some of the other new additions and the young additions, whether it be Avery Bradley starting to warm up, Henry Ellington starting to show some promise. Wouldn't be too far-fetched to think this team could reach the 6th, if not the 5th seed this year. Because, like I said, Easter is already weak enough. It's going to be weak regardless. And the top 2 caliber teams, the designated 2 best teams in the conference, they've had slow starts. So everything is still up for grabs here.
Next question.
And finally, question number 5. What or how much does the Tigers firing bench coach Gene Lamont mean? I guess at least it means a little bit, still not much, but still at least a little bit, significantly.
Yeah, if they were going to say, if they went out and hired Manny Acta before or after this move, I would have said I would have been more impressed. But no, you already hired Bob Gardenhire, and you're not going to make that much of a significant improvement to your roster. So that doesn't, this move is, while I'm fine with the move, it's just not going to have me thinking, oh wow, I'm expecting to be just for next year. No, it just doesn't do that.
Bonus question: what if they hired Manny Acta as their bench coach? I stumped you on that one.
Yeah, it'll be a nice tease, but I doubt it'll go anywhere.
All right, so that's our 5 questions segment, and to our entire audience, if you want to answer those 5 questions, just replay that segment portion of this episode and answer them the best you can without going out of line. Now the other segment, what's your grade?
Pencils down, everyone. It's time to find out what's your grade.
2 events to grade. First off, the Michigan Wolverines football head coach Jim Harbaugh replacing John O'Korn with Brandon Peters at quarterback.
Well, for the move itself, I would have to give it probably B+, because you can make an argument that maybe it should have been done sooner. Maybe, and possibly you would be having the record that you have right now.
Good point.
You can make an argument for that. But on the flip side is you see how Peters looked and how he played. Yeah, he had good-looking numbers, but there's a couple of things where he could have gotten better at, should have done better. Like even the touchdown pass to Chris Evans was pretty much underthrown. And then he had another underthrow issue on a key 3rd down in the red zone where he had, I think it was McKeon, the tight end, wide open, where if he hits him in stride, that's a walk-in touchdown. But he underthrew the ball, led to an incomplete pass and a field goal. So if you want to average it out, I'd say B+, because he probably could have done this sooner. And and Peters, if he had performed a little bit better, probably would have gotten this specific move for this week a higher grade. But it's still good. It's what had to be made regardless.
And then the second event, the Tigers firing bench coach Gene Lamont.
Yeah, I give it an A, because I've been wanting to see Gino gone for years. So better late than never, but you got it done. Thank you.
Been long overdue, but I'll still give that an A as well. That's our What's Your Grade segment. So for our audience, if they have grades for each of those 2 events, post them in the comment bank below this episode. Please don't go out of line. That's episode 288 of the Week in Review. Ed Smith, welcome back from a 4-day hiatus, and happy Halloween.
Thank you, Taylor, to you as well. And all you trick-or-treaters out there, don't get too much of a sugar high from all your candy tonight.
And be careful on the roads, too.
Very.
So before we sign off, we want to remind everyone to share this episode and our entire podcast on social media. Have their friends share that as well, because we want to tell them that the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast organization is boosting its posts of each episode from Spreaker on its Facebook page and searching for local advertising sponsors. If anyone has a business that's interested, say Northern Logistics, for a local business that's interested in sponsoring this program, send our Facebook page a message. I'm Taylor Phillips. Follow me on Twitter at DT2Phillips and Ed Smith at EdSmith313. Like and share the Michigan Sports Truth Facebook page and join its Facebook group. We'll talk to you next week on episode 289. Thanks very much for listening, downloading, and sharing. TTFN, ta-ta for now.
Bon appetit.